Hello, I'm Ed Ullman, the pharmacist up at Wellness RX, the beautiful pharmacy on the mountaintop in Tannersville, New York. Many of our patients and customers and been asking me for my opinion of this emerging trend of CBD oil. And I must confess that about a year ago, I didn't really know much about it. And so I started to ask around. I contacted companies. I wanted to find out what do they know, what can we find out. I asked for their medical staff. Well, what we found is that CBD is a lot of noise. All over the media, we'll be hearing about it. And we've got to be careful because there's a lot of companies making the pitch. And we are not really sure on what the labeling is and the quality of the product. So I started to get involved. I wanted to know more. And I thought the best way was to select products that I believe in, that are laboratory tested, that I could get my hands around, and ones that we can test. So we turned around and we took 21 of our patients, and they were from all walks of life, from age 5 to 85. Half were very poor, half were okay, and we generally wanted to have a good sense of a population that we believe could be helped with CBD oil. We then had a pre-test interview. We then had weekly surveys or questionnaires that the patients had to complete. And we then, at the end of the 60 days, we did post-interviews. And then I put everything together, and the findings is on our website if you would like to look at it. But here's what I found, and I found this to be very fascinating, that consistently what we found is that individuals reported that their coping skills had increased from the use of the CBD oil. And as their coping skills increased, we had deduced that cortisol levels went down in the body. And as that went down, then there was an anxiety reduction, and then that led to better sleep and allowed for individuals to feel more confident in their daily activities. And it was amazing to see. So from that study, we found that everyone had to find out what dosage of CBD oil. We use oil that was under the tongue, sublingual, so it worked within about 5 to 10 minutes. Everyone had to find out what worked best for them. Once they found what dosage worked, then they can make a decision based on cost, if they wanted to take it once a day, twice a day, how they would like to be taking it, and they would never need more. And this is important with CBD oil. It has reverse tolerance, which once you get a dosage that works for you, you will never need more, you'll only need less. We also found, amazingly, that CBD oil was a lot safer than I had ever expected. And therefore, doses, for instance, in the government testing for epilepsy for children, sometimes those dosage are 10 times what the adults would be taking right now, maybe 15 to 33 milligrams per dosage. So we then turned around and said, wow, this is interesting, something that's safe. We did acknowledge that there are certain prescription medications that could be enhanced from CBD oil, and we need to disclose that to make sure we work with patients with it. But overall, we found it was something that is an excellent tool for people to have, and we also found enough results to know that CBD oil will not be just a fad. It is an important, natural, and safe herbal product to be used for medical conditions and for prevention. In particular, what we have said to our patients, use this before you go into a triggering event. So for instance, the teacher will use it before they go see the principal, and then they will say, you know, I control that meeting for the first time. If you're going to see in-laws that maybe has some tension, take it ahead of time. So start to know about your body. Know what trigger points will lead to great anxiety, and start to use CBD oil ahead of time. And again, some people will use it for a maintenance condition. And in the future, we'll be watching more people with chronic conditions. How effective is it with pain relief? We know that pain relief, probably with THC in CBD oil, is more effective. We'll look to see how we can deal with other chronic conditions like diabetes and how it could be used to help reduce healthcare costs and improve people's well-being. And that includes with individuals dealing with addiction or dealing with opioid medications. So there's a big arena to explore with CBD oil. Now, when they say CBD oil, I want to make it clear. There are generally two different worlds. There is what we call the wide spectrum or the full spectrum. It has hopefully very little or no THC, and it is taking the hemp plant and in effect, like Mother Nature intended, to take the whole thing. It will have somewhere between 80 to 100 different what we call cannabinoids or medicinals. These are individual ingredients, with CBD oil being just one, that have potentially medicinal properties that can be helpful to us in either a prevention or dealing with a chronic illness. And we're still at a very early stage with CBD oil, but the full spectrum is the entire one. It will have a little bit of a hemp smell, it will be a little bit darker, and it is probably the product that is more highly recommended today into the marketplace, whether that is gummies, which it will have, or whether or not it is sublingual, whether it's capsules, whether it's inhaled and smoked. It generally is the one that's used the most. Then if you go to a further extraction and you want to go and get the purest form, or if you're concerned that make sure it has no THC, especially if you have any challenge of drug testing, then you get pure CBD oil. That's what we tested in our experiment with our 21 patients. Now, pure CBD oil is going to be colorless, tasteless. You can add honey, you can add any flavoring that you want to it, but it is just a little bit different. And so we find that either one is excellent for people to try and to see whether or not you can have a tool that can be highly effective for you. Now, how does CBD oil work? And that's what I find very fascinating. Even though it will go through the whole body, if you take it as an edible, it will take about 45 minutes to kick in. If you take it as sublingual, it will take about 10 minutes. Now, what happens is that it's a mechanical process. The cannabinoids will go into the blood system, but it will primarily impact the spinal cord and the brain. Now, what it will do by mechanical, the actual cannabinoids will go into the inflamed areas of the spinal cord in the brain and calm it down. It's like a lock and key, boom. And also will go to other parts of the body, as I said, and they're experimenting with many other of those cannabinoids now. CBG is another one that could have greater impact on the body, like for irritable bowel syndrome and so on. But for right now, we've really been just looking at CBD oil and the full spectrum that has the basket of 80 or more of the medicinals. So we found that was very interesting, that something could calm the body like that and reduce the inflammation and lead to good things. Then it leads to a detoxification process. Now, the detoxification process is physical, where some people could feel a little tired because toxins are being removed. You stop taking it, let the body remove the toxins, and then you go back. But it also can have mental detoxification. Now, this is fascinating. We saw in 15% of our patient group, they went through emotional detoxification. What does that mean? It means we hold in our body emotional trauma, events of our past, and we hold it in our cells of our body, and in particular to the craniosacral fluid in our spine. And so we hold it there, and it appears to be that CBD oil holds the potential to have the body release that. And if it releases it, you're going to have almost, it could be up to 2 hours of emotions coming out of you. And what we found in every case, that after the emotions come out, the individual just goes to sleep, wakes up the next day and the trauma is gone. So this is very interesting, especially in mental health field, of a potential tool for post-traumatic stress syndrome and other things that we're dealing that is so much related to trauma. And as we know, so much of anxiety that people deal with is related to unresolved trauma. So we found that CBD oil has great potential in the future. We found that we need to study it. We know that the price is too much for most people. We are going to do our best at Wellness RX. We have a patient assistance fund that can help individuals who need the product and then find that it can be very beneficial for them. We will try to keep you up to date on this really a very exciting field. And we hope that we'll be able to continue to introduce new products, new information, new studies, and as always, we will be honest with you and we'll tell you the best information that we have at that time. Thank you.